You are off the clock with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish, how are you?
I am fantastic. You want to know why?
Yes.
Because Steve Bose is in town this week.
What?
What?
I'll get inundated by the paparazzi, Trish, if I go out.
Steve,
Let's really try to be careful about, my comings and
I'm
goings.
just saying. I like when you come to town because we
I
get
used
to
an
do a lot
assumed
of
name.
fun, cool work things. Which I'm not going to say, but we're doing a really cool At Work in America field trip next Monday. So
I have just
people
learned about
stay
this.
tuned.
I
This is
have
going to
just been
be
informed about this, what's the word? Excursion, if you will. So that'll be fun.
excursion. I like that. The only hint I'll give is that you and I have been doing shows that are a lot more outdoorsy lately, right?
That is true.
This is one along those lines. So I think it'll be really fun. So yeah, excursion next Monday. Until then, we've got a ton of work, but I do have a work story for you today. I don't know
Let's
if you've
hear it.
heard it. It was news to me, and let me just say I was really happy about this. I was driving my dog to the vet this morning, and on the radio they were talking about how a group of strippers, exotic dancers in Los
Yes,
Angeles.
please. Let's use the proper terminology, please. Thank you.
They use the word strippers, but anyway, exotic dancers are voting to form a union. It's at a company called the Star Golden Topless, but and there have been prior ones. It's been a long time. 1996 in San Francisco, there was a group that were able to join a local union. But anyway, I always wondered about this actually because living in Illinois, there are strip clubs allowed, I guess.
Okay.
In some parts of St. Louis, like that's not okay, right? Like in the city.
Really?
So anyway, but I used to drive by Larry Flint's Hustler Club on my way to work when I had a corporate job. And I bring it up because I did
Where
wonder.
exactly was that located? Oh, never mind. That's
Yeah, you're in town. I'll tell you where it's located. No, but to be serious, I think that I've always wondered, like, who hires them, right? Is there like an HR person there hiring the
I
exotic
always got the
dancers?
impression many of that was sort of like an independent contractor kind of relationship. Although
Really?
I confess to
They're
not
not
knowing that for
employees?
sure. I don't know.
Oh, well, okay. So totally being serious here. I think that it would be interesting to find out like what are they facing because it sounds like their working conditions are not good. Apparently security does not have to step in and intervene if anything happens, like a
Really?
bouncer or something like that. And maybe it's because they're contractors. I wonder if that's
We may need to dig into this, Trish. Now we're sort
well,
of
that's what I'm wondering because
revealing
I'm
lots of
thinking like
questions about this industry that we need the answers to, perhaps.
I feel like we do because I feel like these are workers who could be being exploited. It was talking about the
Yeah.
poor working conditions. Obviously, they're exposed to a lot of things they shouldn't be forced to be exposed to. It's a family show, so I'm not going to get into all that. But no, I mean, being serious, I wonder, who's looking out for people who are in those roles. And I don't know that there is anybody. It sounds like there's probably
Well,
not.
maybe that's why in this example, where was this story from? What
This
city?
is in Los Angeles at
Los
the
Angeles.
Star Golden Topless. And there was everything from, there were rats in the building and cockroaches and
Ooh.
poor working conditions, like physically poor work. So it wouldn't be any different from working in an office or a manufacturing
Yeah.
setting, right? Where there are safety standards
Yeah, I'm not of
from
the
an
mind
OSHA
where
perspective.
it's not really fair to say, look at that industry and say they don't deserve, a clean workspace, a safe workspace, proper, labor laws as they apply to
Yeah,
whatever their employment relationship may be with the
right.
establishment there should be followed. Of course, right? Like, why not? Like,
So I wonder, I don't know. It just made me curious about a lot of things, lots of unanswered questions. Like, do they get the same type of inspections as like restaurants or just other bars? I don't know.
I suppose so.
Or
Why
they
not?
don't?
Right?
It didn't sound like they do, or
Okay.
it's just not being enforced. And then, yeah, the whole thing about having, say that a customer tries to film them when they're not supposed to, or touch them when they're not supposed to,
Mm.
a bouncer will not intervene.
Wow, I'm surprised because I always was led to believe if you were a patron at such an establishment and you crossed a line like
They
that
throw
one,
you out,
that you were going to get smacked across the head and
right?
tossed out into the parking lot. Yeah.
I thought so too. So anyway, but yeah, so I would like to follow up and hear like what's really going on there because I think this is probably a group of workers who are not being protected and really don't have anyone to turn to. So yeah,
Well,
so
yeah.
stay
I'll
tuned.
have to track down that story and read it. I did not see it, but that's interesting to me for sure.
Yeah. My other short work story I wanted to get your reaction on was I was reading about a woman by the name of Courtney Felly in Washington, D.C. It was a story about how we've been working remote 100% in many cases for the last couple of years has really turned into an advantage for the people who are chronically ill but want to have jobs.
Okay.
And this was the first time I've seen a story like this. So I'm not saying it is the first, but it's the first time I've seen it. I hadn't really thought about it. There are lots of people who have jobs in the past who have had to go out on long-term disability because they have a chronic illness, maybe something that has a flare-up, like autoimmune diseases, for example,
Mhm.
things like that, where they don't know when it's going to be a bad day.
Sure. Sure.
And it causes
Maybe
them to
being
either
in a car for an hour on the way to work both ways is not the best scenario for them. Sure.
exactly. Or if they just need to lay down for 30 minutes or something and kind of regroup and rest, you don't have that in a workplace necessarily. So, anyway, I just wanted to hear, have you heard of anything like this? Or could this really be like some sort of a hiring advantage if you're looking to hire workers? Could you be sort of targeting people who might have chronic diseases if you're
Yeah,
saying, look, we will
it's an
support you
interesting.
working from home
I
100%?
totally I totally get it. It makes perfect sense. I don't recall
Yeah,
reading anything lately about that specific subset of the workforce. I know we did a podcast, Trish, about autoimmune disease and employees with autoimmune disease.
we
It's probably
did.
a couple years ago now. I'd have to look
Mhm.
it up to I don't remember off the top of my head who our guest was, but that was the topic, right? And
Yeah,
how employers, I think it was before the pandemic, maybe even, right? That how
that's been a
employers
bit.
could support folks who have chronic disease or autoimmune disease specifically. Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense to me. Look, I think it's pretty clear that remote working has worked really, really well for lots of people. Now, it's worked less well for others, certainly, and not everybody's different. Their circumstances are different, their preferences are different. But I do think that's just another example where if you're an employer who are going to enforce either like a full on everybody comes back to the workplace or some sort of really strict kind of one size fits all hybrid policy, which also in the long run is going to be difficult for many
Mhm.
people. So that 3 days in, 2 days out kind of deal, that you're gonna just limit your ability to engage segments of the workforce artificially, right? And almost
Exactly.
needlessly. But that's your choice as an employer, I guess. And I guess we'll see over time, how that plays out. Maybe as more of the cranky old boomer bosses retire, we'll see less and less of that. But
Maybe.
it's a good
What
story.
about
Yeah.
I know that the recent jobs report came out on Friday. I mean, how do you think that was some big news, right? So how
Yeah.
do you think that plays into something like this, right? Where
Yeah,
you're
the labor market's still really, really strong. I didn't record it yet, but I'm about to record tomorrow's Workplace Minute show, which is all about the labor market news.
Mhm.
So June jobs was 378,000 increase, which was I'd say 125,000 higher than most expectations for the month.
Right.
Job openings, which came out earlier in the week, they're a little bit down from the all-time record, but still over 11 million open jobs in the USA. Labor
Mhm.
force participation is still a little bit lower than it was pre-pandemic. Long story short, right? Lots of open jobs, lots of opportunity, very, very low unemployment. Unemployment is
Absolutely.
3.6% in the US. So the funny thing is, the in the labor market news, especially in the business news or the financial news, the news of certain tech companies laying off people here and there, which has ticked up noticeably in the
Sure.
last couple of months, but it's disproportionately reported, in my opinion. So
Oh,
and it's sad when anybody gets laid off, right? There was news last week that Twitter
right.
laid off 30% of their recruiting staff
Oh, did
because they're
they?
just not
I didn't
hiring
see
as
that.
many people. They don't plan to in the next year or so. And that's bad. That's sad. And that's sad for those people. And I hope they all do well. But that's, I don't know, 100 people maybe, right? Like
Right.
it's not 20,000 people. And so the job market remains really, really strong. And so most employers, especially small businesses, are definitely going to report difficulty in filling open roles. And it's going to be really, really interesting. I did a Workplace Minute last week about teen
Mhm.
workers and summer jobs. Now
Yeah.
we're still in kind of the middle of summer here, but pretty soon, another month or so, another
Yeah.
6 weeks, many of these teens, right, are going to be heading off to college, right,
That's
or
right.
back to college in some examples.
Our
And
kids are.
It's going to be, and a couple of them I'm already have been informed will be leaving summer jobs that they have currently to go back to college. And so those organizations who are relying on teens and students to fill important roles are going to be maybe, what do we do now? Right. Kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting in the fall to see what happens there.
Yeah. Well, definitely stuff to watch, because I think too, there started to be some reports of, oh, we're in a recession, we're on the verge of a recession. But when you see the jobs report, that shows, I mean, I still think it's coming. Obviously, it's going to come,
Maybe.
but I think it's still a ways off. When you still have strong hiring,
Trish,
lots of opportunities. Am I stealing your thunder? Is that what you're going to
I'll
talk
tell
about in
you
the
what,
workplace minute?
no, you're not, but I want to squeeze this in before we go. I'll tell you what is coming, Trish. A recession may or may not be coming, but what is coming tonight, Trish? The season premiere of The Bachelorette starts tonight. There are 2 bachelorettes this season, Gabby and Rachel, who were the second place and third place finishers of the last season of The Bachelor. Kind of got a raw deal from The Bachelor, who kind of dirty dealed them at the end. They're coming back. 2 bachelorettes for the first time ever. We don't know how it's going to work. Could be chaos. It could be, it certainly be interesting and fun. And that's on tonight. Bachelor Nation, I'm in. I'm with you. I will be watching tonight. How about that?
So I've never watched a whole season. Maybe this is my time, because I did, just because of your passion for it, I did watch
Lock in tonight, Trish.
I watched the finale of the last one. So I know who those girls are, and they're both lovely.
They're fantastic.
Like really lovely.
I hope they find love.
I hope they find love too. But I would say, like, do you think that with 2 of them, like, how does this work? Do they still just have the same number of men? Do they double the number of men?
I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
we'll find out. They're
know.
really good friends,
if
though.
I'm in the
They're
second
bonded.
role.
They're tight together. So they're in this together, I think.
Okay. I'll be curious to see. I'm not going to commit yet to watching it, because I just started The Challenge, which has, like, I'm a huge Love Island fan and Big Brother and Survivor fan, has all my favorite people in one show, The Challenge, on CBS. There you go. Looks like we're going to be like a reality summer. And Big Brother just started.
I will report back on Wednesday with how the show went tonight.
Big Brother just started. I'm already bored with it. I know, unfortunately. But I'm watching Love Island UK, so yeah. I love all that trash TV, don't you?
Just some of it. Just The Bachelor.
All right. Well, thanks for taking a break, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Monday. If you have any information on any of these topics we're talking about, whether it's chronically ill workers, and if you hire them, don't hire them, would hire them into these roles, and then also if you know anything about the unions for exotic dancers, we really would like to know and learn more about the industry. So anyway, with that, have a good rest of your afternoon, and we will see you back here on Wednesday.